This week's episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA. Do you think it's okay to drive stoned? The truth is, reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Stop kidding yourself. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you'll drive different. Learn more at NHTSA.gov. That's NHTSA.gov. Drive high, get a DUI.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, August 30th, 2018. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Hey everyone, how you doing this week?
Hi, Norm. I'm doing well.
I'm doing great.
I'm glad you guys are doing great because I've been suffering from an awful cough. A terrible cough.
But
I'm not even
the
sure
Norm
what's
I know doesn't get sick.
I know, exactly. So it's just something is growing in my lungs. It's clogging up my drains, and it's not been pleasant.
How many coughs are you anticipating this podcast?
Hopefully not many because I have a bottle of water. Hey guys, also, when we leave this room, we got to make sure the LEDs are turned off.
Yeah. There's a sign on the wall.
There's a sign on the wall now for when the doors close. You know what? We don't see that sign when we close the door and when we're leaving the room.
It needs to be closed to see it. And then the door's open when we leave.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's problematic there. Also, it's Ripley's second birthday. It's happy birthday to my little dog.
That's great.
What are you doing to celebrate?
I got her a 22-pound bag of food so she can survive and keep on living. I feel like that's a pretty great present. And then I also picked up 2 plush toys. One the shape of a duck that she killed already, dismembered.
Good for her.
And another, I thought this was the most clever dog toy I've seen in a while. 2 halves of an avocado, in which the avocado seed is a tennis ball.
Okay. All right.
She's already destroyed them.
I can't wait to see how your relationship with your dog changes once the baby arrives.
What do you mean? How's that supposed to change?
You know, people who don't have babies think their pets are their babies.
Yes.
But then once the baby arrives...
What if I like the dog more than the baby?
Oh, wow.
See, the only problem with saying that is that this has been recorded.
I'm just.
It will be
I
used
have
against you.
no idea. I'm not that phase yet. I'm ready. I'm open to ideas.
I appreciate that you're open-minded about this.
Very open-minded about it.
You millennials.
It's all about that skin-on-skin contact for bonding. Things I'm learning through classes. We're gonna hit 4 million subscribers this week.
I kind of can't believe it. That seems like an insane number of people that are subbed to this just to watch me and Jeremy talk every week.
This podcast, right? This podcast is No, it's our Tested YouTube channel. It's going to hit 4 million subscribers. We're super.
Could you ever imagine that? Like rewinding the clock to when you and Will started this? In the basement?
Not at all. When we hit 1 million, we were freaking out.
How long did it take you to hit 1 million?
Oh, it must have been 5 years.
I mean,
so
was
4 years maybe. 4
Was
years?
there a YouTube channel before you and Will started Tested?
YouTube existed?
No, but I mean, was there a Tested channel at over there at that company?
What you mean before we start working with Adam?
No, I mean when you were doing Tested before Adam.
No, we didn't have a YouTube channel. I guess we had the rights to it, and Will claim the handle, or I think that's what happened. But we didn't start putting videos on the channel until 2012.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's been 6 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize you weren't doing that when you were with Giant Bomb.
No.
Huh.
No. Yeah.
So it took a while to get to 1 million, then it ramped up.
Yeah, and then it's steady growth, and there are some peaks and valleys, and it's sometimes it's cyclical, and we've been very lucky enough to have some videos do very well, and it's just one metric of success for YouTube, but a lot of people seem to pull out a weight on it, and it's obviously a big number, so we're very, very happy.
Well,
we're 40% the way to a diamond?
Is that what you get at 10 million?
Platinum, diamond, some one of those things. I don't think.
And then you have to like cut it open, right? That's what people do with those.
Yeah, or lick it, or do some other funky thing with it. Test it. That's what we'll do.
Where are you off to tomorrow?
I'm headed to Atlanta bright and early tomorrow morning for 4 days of blurred con awesomeness.
This is the highlight of your year.
I love Dragon Con.
This is your Pinburg.
Yeah, except I probably won't place 8th in anything at this. I'm super hyped about Dragon Con. I'm on 6 panels, I think, six or 7, something like that. I think the 2 highlights that I'm on are I'm doing a science panel with the cast of The Expanse, where we're going to just watch video clips, and I guess they're going to be like, "Hey, scientist, what do you think?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I like this show. I think that's going to be amazing." I'm really looking forward to that.
You guys like The Expanse? You guys like science? Woo!
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty sweet. And then I'm on a panel called Does It Fart, where we review.
Is that like a 2 a.m. panel?
I believe it's at 4 p.m. actually. I'm on like a lot of weird panels. I'm on one about giving fictional Nobel Prizes to different characters.
Nice.
Do both mammals and amphibians fart?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on your definition of fart, but if it's generally any sort of gaseous release from an orifice opposite the mouth, then yes.
Huh. All right.
I'm glad you're defining your terms.
Yeah, and there's actually a number of fish that use farts to control their buoyancy.
Wow. All right. Is this going to be a plot point of Aquaman?
There's a book called Does It Fart Out that details this. I hope so. I hope they do use it. I mean, it's a great scientific fact, but it's only the pupfish that tends to use it, which are pretty small. That would not be an impressive fish for Aquaman to summon.
Like a submarine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also doing 6 cosplays. I'll be joining the Fast Food Avengers.
Oh my gosh!
On Saturday morning. I mean, it's a spoiler for all those tested fans that won't be there at Dragon Con. But if you always some tested fans come up and say hi, I love it. Please do so again. I'll be roving the halls. I'm also registering people to vote with a group called Nerds Vote. That's part of Headcount, which I'm excited about. And then there's a bunch of stuff that I'm really just excited to go to as a fan. When like an hour after I land, I'm going to a history of the Mad Titan panel. And you can imagine that I'm going to walk in there with a big grin on my face.
Jeremy, the Mad Titan is Thanos.
I wondered. Are you bringing your gauntlet?
I'm not, only because I haven't had time to finish the electronics.
I mean, I don't want to work for TSA, but I would be so curious to stand behind the X-ray machines at Atlanta as Dragon Con attendees are arriving and getting their things scanned.
It's such a mess. And because my wife is going with me this time, so we have like double the costumes and stuff. I mean, I have one suitcase that is a giant cheeseburger head.
Yeah.
And so I have no idea what they see on a X-ray scan of that suitcase.
Just the eyes.
But they just the eyes staring back at them.
Help me.
Directly into their soul. Anyways, I think it'll be awesome. I'm going to try to take photos and maybe put up a gallery if I can kind of get my act together.
Have fun. Don't worry about that stuff. 6 cosplay. So Mayor McCheese, 1 to 2 of them, if you have variants.
There'll be 2 Mayor McCheese variants. And then
any hints as to the other 4?
Oh, I'll just tell you. I'm doing a BoJack Horseman with my wife. She's going as Princess Carolyn. And then I'm doing a Star Trek casual. I have my
how casual? Kirk casual?
No, I'm going. I have my Cisco outfit, and my wife has a Kira outfit. Mm-hmm. So we're going. We call it casual because it's easy to put on.
Sure. Yes.
Is that a word that they use in the cosplay parlance? The
casual cosplay, easy to walk around. Adam's used it before. Okay. Yeah. Just like the comfortable. A lot of people design their creative cosplays to be the loungewear version, the pajama version, because these parties go late. So it's the same fabric or some of the just different patterns, and to make it look like what the characters would wear when having a Manhattan.
Right.
I'm part of the group, the Simpsons group called the Stonecutters.
Oh,
where we
yes.
have our initiation on Saturday night, and we walk around and sing songs, and then I'm also
Don't give away the secrets of the fraternity.
and then I have one matchup that's really ridiculous.
I'll be curious what that group thinks of Renaissance or whatever the new show is on Netflix. You know,
Disenchantment.
That's
Oh,
it.
Gosh.
That's it. What? It wasn't that bad.
That was not very close. Those words share just only a couple letters in common.
Are they a similar number of syllables? Anyway, I'll be curious what that group thinks.
No, I think they're more into the stone cutting of it all. Well, have fun, Kishore. Be safe out there. And if you listeners out there, any of you are going to Dragon Con, please tweet us your pictures because we're really bummed. I'm really bummed. I can't be there this year.
Yeah, and I'm going to chase down, usually Bill Duran and I chase down each other at some point, so we'll be walking around. Bill does a good, walk around and point out the techniques that went into crafting a lot of the cosplays out there. So it's a lot of fun to walk around
Oh,
with Bill.
is he kind of like a wildlife observer or like a naturalist? Like, does he do the voiceover?
I want to
like
call him the James
Attenborough?
Gunn of cosplay, but I don't think he likes
No.
that.
But like the Richard Attenborough does and there's the Stonecutter group.
Oh, that is definitely foam matte cosplay taken to the extreme with some incredible barging at the seams.
Here we see a young cosplayer on his fourth costume.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I think you should make that video.
Just film. No, you need to get a lot of releases signed.
As though it were a nature film.
Yeah, nature
I
documentary.
love it.
Yeah. As Danica would say, be a credit to your field.
Oh, okay.
Don't shame us.
Fair enough. The one cosplay I've heard of that I really want to see is someone is doing Thanos Hands of Fate, like Manos Hands of Fate, the movie.
Oh yeah, the Rift Tracks thing. Well, they've done it. Yeah,
I have no idea what to expect.
that's a weird crossover.
And then there's obviously some incredible cosplays posted already. I think there's a Ghost Rider coming with that actually has flames and smoke that comes out of that helmet.
The 90s PBS show Ghost Rider.
No, sorry.
Are we going straight into pop culture?
Let's go straight into pop culture. All right. A lot of pop culture news this week is about, well, one of our favorite topics, streaming services.
Yep.
Streaming services.
How many new ones are there? Have there popped up since last week? Probably another 8 or 10.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Variety did a really long deep dive into, well, they called it the race to catch Netflix. And it was a interview with a lot of these executives who would create new video-on-demand streaming services to go direct to consumers, cut out the middlemen, cut out the big telecoms, and sell you video services.
It's a badass artwork they did. They got 3 F1 racing cars, one Disney branded, one
okay.
AT&T, I don't know, one NBC, and they're all racing to your house.
Oh.
Yeah.
To cut the cord.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, you need the data cord or the Wi-Fi cord, whatever that is. And the interesting tidbits that came out of it was, well, Disney's streaming service, which is a big part of their business in the future. They've already announced that they're going to do exclusive Star Wars shows for it. They're going to really leverage all those brands that they own. What they won't do is they're not going to be taking away the existing contracts they have with Netflix because they get paid a ton of money for those. So right now, Disney gets paid $300 million a year for the rights to stream Disney and Marvel and movies and Star Wars. But as we talked about in a few weeks past, the next Marvel film, Captain Marvel, will be the first film not on Netflix and will be, going forward, will be solely on Disney's streaming platform. Mm-hmm. So they know there's a content disparity. They know it's very competitive. And one of the interesting tidbits is the cost, they say, will be cheaper than Netflix. Cheaper than Netflix's, what is it, $8 to $14 that Netflix charges right now? So if it's $5 a month, seems like kind of a no-brainer for a lot of that stuff.
I'd kind of expect that. Wouldn't you expect that? There's less content and it's more narrow.
Well, what is like CBS All Access? How much is that per month?
I don't know.
I think that's the point. For a lot of people, once they are bought into these subscription services and they're subscribed to many, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Filmstruck, and all the other ones, you kind of lose track of how much these things cost per month. You assume they're around that $8 to $10 a month. And it's really about that initial buy-in. So maybe it's like start off at $5 a month to get people on board. They need a ton of people to sign up initially, and then grandfather them in on that price, and then have it bumped up to $8 a month once they build out their library. But they need like 40 million subscribers to make that business viable, according to the Variety article.
Well, Netflix does this tiering thing, right? Based on how many simultaneous streams you want and
quality
and 4K or not.
Yeah.
Do you expect Disney to do the same thing?
That may be a tech-based decision, and this moves to funky net neutrality territory. I'm sure Disney would like to tier it eventually, but I think they want a simple message going to launch, because the landscape is catching up with Netflix. There are other options, and people know about them, and people are going to be confused because a lot of that Disney stuff is currently on Netflix and currently on Hulu. They're TV shows. So this has to feel something different.
Oh, do you think there needs to be a period of pain where there's nothing Disney on Netflix and then the Disney service comes around? Maybe if they launch...
They can't do that, though.
Maybe if they launch simultaneously with the switchover, there'll be confusion, as you say.
I think that's the problem. I think then that's something they have to do because of they're not going to turn down the $300 million.
Right.
That they're getting annually. And those contracts still exist. So I'm more curious about the content lineup, especially since they still have their Disney shows, like that new animated show we talked about last week is not on this service. So they have to launch with like a flagship show or a series of shows.
What do you mean it's not on this service?
Like it's not exclusive to the service. Like the what was it called? Resistance?
Yeah.
That show is on cable.
Is it?
It's Disney XD. It's not streaming.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not exclusive to streaming. It's not their Star Trek Discovery.
Huh.
And they know Star Wars, a stronger brand than Star Trek. If they have the equivalent of that and put money onto a Star Wars live action show, I think that'd be enough to get a lot of people to pay $5 a month.
So how many of these are you willing to sign up for overall?
In
terms
addition?
of no, just total number of streaming things.
I think it's a dollar value. Right?
Okay. What's your
Because-
dollar value then?
$50.
Okay, so you can get somewhere between like 4.
I think four is my number.
So what are your 4?
And here's the problem. Do I count Amazon Prime in that?
No.
Right? And that's
Amazon
Amazon's
Prime.
trick. That's
Yeah.
how Amazon got you, because people don't consider that because they think they're paying just for Prime, but you're not. You have the service that you're forcibly opted into.
Yeah,
The
I
Prime
don't
streaming
count that.
service.
Have you cut the cable? Have you
I have
cut the cord?
cable.
Okay.
Yeah, it was painless.
So
Well, semi-painless.
sports?
No. In terms of how difficult Comcast became.
Oh.
Because I think these services are a lot harder of a sell if you're still paying for cable.
Oh yeah, and that's how I did the math. Like, what was I paying for cable beforehand? About $100 a month,
Right.
for everything. Now I'm paying for these things plus something like a YouTube TV or a Philo.
So what are your 4?
Netflix, HBO.
So that's already about more than half of your budget.
And you're doing the 4K Netflix, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Filmstruck, that's annual fee. It's $100 a year. And then I think my fourth one right now, I don't pay for Hulu. I think those are the only ones I pay for right now.
Yeah.
And so I have room for like one more.
Is Captain Picard going to
I know.
convince you?
Do I have to choose between Disney and CBS All Access?
No. You raised your limit to 60.
That's what they want. This is what they want. Also, in the Variety story, well worth reading, they talk about how some of these existing services, like HBO, need to have their models or have orders from high up, from their new bosses, AT&T, to have their programming change. Right now, HBO, it's pricey. It's premium. It's a premium service. I'm paying $15 a month, but I'm watching things, and they know this. Watching things, it's like a once a week type of thing. Like they own Sunday night. That's when I watch HBO. Not really tuning in HBO every night to watch their movie library or their documentaries. It's like Saturday or Sunday night is HBO night. They need HBO and they want HBO without somehow diluting the quality to be a regular night thing, to be people on their mobile phones flipping up and loading HBO app like they would a YouTube or a Netflix.
Part of this is their own making. Like they made it like Saturday night, watch a movie on HBO. Sunday night, watch the best stuff on television.
Yeah, and their tagline, it's not TV, it's HBO. Well, that not only speaks to the quality that they were going for, but also ended up being the behavior they were going for. It became like a more theatrical experience, like movie night.
Yeah, and so I wonder, you know, what I actually hope for from some of these things is we've been conditioned to half hour for comedies, hour for dramas, and everything is still in that frame. So like every show we watch is, you know, in a drama category is typically like 40 to 50 minutes. Why? Like now that we're in streaming and there's no ads on these things, why can't they be whatever length they need to be?
Don't you think they still sort of adhere to those lengths
They do.
to leave the possibility of being syndicated open?
And overseas.
But isn't that over?
No, I
I
think,
mean, especially for like a Netflix original, why are they doing it?
well, Netflix originals can mean all sorts of things. If they're
Well, but
wholly
I mean-
Netflix originals. And like
Yeah.
HBO shows have done that. You see, even in Game of Thrones, True Detective, which there's now a new teaser, the episode lengths vary. They can be 50 minutes, they can be an hour and a half, and it really is whatever the story needs. But for something like, we've talked about this for Star Trek Discovery, because CBS All Access is just national,
based, yeah.
then overseas they have to build in those what feels like commercial breaks. Even the format, the commercial break format changes the tone of the writing.
I don't know. I think there is something to that. I mean, I thought that was the brilliance of Adult Swim, is they upended like you have to fill a half hour,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's been
And some
like,
of those-
sometimes 10 to 15 minutes is enough.
And those formats are the best that can get syndicated on, if you can call it syndication, repurposed online for places like YouTube, on other platforms. Other streaming service news. We haven't even talked about Apple streaming service. This is kind of the big mystery. Is this going to be a flop? Like we're very excited. They've
No
hired,
content on there that I want.
There's they hired Charlie Day, and the creative team behind It's Always Sunny. Also new It's Always Sunny season 13.
I'm curious about Time Bandits.
Time Bandits, and now they also have the Asimov Foundation series, the book series that they
Heady.
optioned. Hard sci-fi for some type of show. Now, just because they've bought the rights doesn't mean it's gonna happen. And I can't imagine that they're going to debut with all these things. This feels like a staggering out, with lots of prestige series. It could be a flop. They could announce it, and people, just because it may play best on your phone, on the iPhone, doesn't mean people are going to shell out another $10, $15. I think they really need to do what Amazon did and kind of sneak it in, bundle it in something.
So wait, is this in addition to their existing subscription services? Is that a cough?
That's a cough. Sorry.
Is this in addition to this? Like if I subscribe to Apple Music, do I get...
They don't. No.
streaming stuff?
The presumption is that this will be a separate
Apple doesn't
monthly
bundle.
subscription, but
What do they bundle?
I feel like they should.
Yeah.
They should, and which is what Amazon has done.
Exactly.
They start with the Prime, the thing that everyone takes for granted and is built into their credit card bill. They built in music. They built in video. They raised the price.
But Amazon does interestingly charge a premium for certain content. If you don't get everything under Prime.
Oh no, and
All
that's
of their
that's their video on demand,
Yeah.
like paper, like the iTunes equivalent, right? And that's why for a long time the content on Amazon, the movies, it was very hard to distinguish. You couldn't search, and if you really try to inventory the movies that were on Prime streaming, it would be a very small subset of the actual movies
Right.
you could actually rent or buy on the Amazon service. And that's why they're moving toward things like their original program shows, like the one that what's Jack Ryan, right? And of course the all that money they spent on Lord of the Rings, which we'll see what happens with that. Apple, they're not known as a original content company.
We're not first to market anymore, right? So you have to come out with a lot of overwhelmingly compelling content to make this work. And while I'm excited about this hard sci-fi show, Time Bandit sounds great. I love Charlie Day and Rob McElhaney. That's not even close to being enough.
No, and it's not like they can infuse tech into it to make it more interesting. Because people just want to for content for video, people just want to put it on their TVs. Just put it on your TVs. Some other companies have done, as opposed to creating a ton of original content, is work with licensors to license a lot of classic content, and nostalgia is a big selling point here. In fact, I think it's for CBS All Access. Star Trek Discovery and the original programming shows, that gets some new subscribers, but a significant portion of their audience base also are paying for Big Bang Theory, right? They're paying for CSI. Because that's
what DC Universe is doing. Like you get the full Batman the Animated Series, you get all like the shows they've made over the years that have DC characters in them.
Well, if you're like me and you grew up in the 90s and you're a fan of Nickelodeon shows, the entire Nickelodeon 90s catalog is going to be on the Verve service.
What are we talking about? Like, you can't do that on television?
Now that's what I'm talking about. That's classic Nickelodeon. I didn't recognize any of these shows.
You didn't recognize all that? Or Are You Afraid of the Dark?
No.
Or Clarissa Explains It All?
Not the titles,
Or
not
Keenan
the
and
actors.
Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Legend of the Hidden Temple. Do you know
Rocco's Modern Life?
You want a hidden secret? Anthony Carboni was on Legends of the Hidden Temple.
He went through the temple? I want to find that episode.
Do you know about You Can't Do That on Television? Does that mean anything to you?
Doesn't mean anything to me.
Do you know what would happen?
Oh, we can green slime the shit out of
Do
him.
you even know like that would happen every episode? Somebody would get slimed. Like
I know about the sliming.
You
but
do.
The sliming was on what was the other competition show?
I don't know what you're talking
Double
about.
Dare?
Yeah, Double Dare.
Oh, Double Dare was great.
Double Dare. That's where the sliming came
No,
in.
sliming it would happen like a bucket would dump on somebody. You never knew who it was going to happen to. But that was when the original Nickelodeon.
That's when
series
Nickelodeon was like
you just
in
call me
Canada.
Nick Jr. That's what you called me.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Well, there's a on the service. It's part of their big $10 a month offering, which includes a bunch of other stuff. And
Who's subscribing to this? For real.
Well, Norm's he's got room for $10 more.
Look, I love nostalgia. I'm next to the nostalgia king of the 1980s.
Well, this is all the Crunchyroll stuff,
This is
too.
ridiculous.
Nostalgia is, I mean,
Like, I understand, like, with Verve, like, having it be part of a bundle, so there's all these other
Think of it this
channels.
way.
I get that.
and we talked about this with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Imagine if Mr. Rogers wasn't on PBS streaming. Like, a lot of this is really great programming that I think the current generation of parents that grew up on it would love to introduce to their kids, because what they're seeing on television for their kids isn't as palatable.
I don't think that you're going to make it through 2 episodes of this stuff.
It's like, oh, it's all SD. It's all 4x3 SD. This is terrible. I'm going to get the laser cut an old CRT monitor frame, put over your LCD.
Look, Nickelodeon, I'm going to burst your bubble. Nickelodeon wasn't good when we watched it. It was just...
What are you talking
You're
about?
saying it's
It's
better in
just-
our heads.
It was much better in our heads.
All Real Monsters?
I liked it. I liked Nickelodeon.
If I make you sit down and watch one of those episodes, I doubt you'll make it through.
No.
2.
No, I'm not saying like I'd like it today or it holds up or it competes with what's out there today. But in the 80s, it was unique.
Yeah, but there's nothing else on.
Exactly.
Yes. I think we're arguing the same point.
Okay.
All right.
You probably are.
That's up to you out there. Let's move on from streaming services. Hey, we missed a big story last week, and maybe it deserves to be a top story.
We did?
But Big Bang Theory is coming to an end.
No, that's not a top story.
No, I don't care. I don't care about that. I mean, congrats to all their success.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a long-running series.
I think by the end of it, it will maybe like the longest running that format sitcom. How many seasons is it?
12.
Only? That feels like not that many.
That is a lot.
That's a
Did
lot of seasons.
they age 12 years in the fiction?
I have no idea.
I mean, that's a long time.
I mean, that's a long time to be in grad school.
Are the boys all in grad school?
That's the thing you're going to pick apart.
They were 2 of them are scientists.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know the guy.
3 of them,
One of those guys was in the original Muppets, not the original Muppet, but the new Muppets movie.
Yeah, Jim Parsons.
Yeah. I appreciated that.
I heard they actually CBS offered them like $1 gajillion to come back and do 2 more seasons. And it was more than $1 million an episode. I think it was like $50 million
Well, that was
for
the crazy
each of the actors.
Why would they
for
say
this
no to that?
benchmark.
Because I think Jim Parsons, wants to be done with it. I mean, they've made so much money during the series. I can understand being like, that's probably enough for now. 12 seasons is a long time.
It is a big
because
part of your life.
they're also doing 24, 26 episodes per season. That's a ton of content. I mean, Friends, which it only made it 10, Seinfeld 9, like those are like, held up as some of the biggest sitcoms ever.
Friends.
Oh wow! Not into wow. Does
Talk
not
about
like
a talk about a show I can't relate to.
Is it the rent control in New York?
It's The Beautiful People.
And their love of coffee.
Yeah.
Who can you relate to? You can relate to Weird Al?
Yeah, now we're talking. So you guys probably heard in the news that he got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame
Yes.
yesterday. But do you know the story behind it?
How he
Because
got the star?
This is kind of interesting.
Well, how people get stars in general?
You told us not too long ago that there's actually a fee.
Yes.
In order, you don't just get chosen and you show up to get your star.
I got to pay the Chamber of Commerce.
A lot of money, and you have to guarantee that you'll be there for the actual ceremony.
Yes. It's all for building up the reputation of the institution.
So when I saw that Weird Al was getting a star, I thought, well, look at this guy paying the money, being all about me. Look what I did, everybody. I got some money to spare. I'm going to get a star.
New albums out, going on tour.
Turns out he didn't pay for that. His fans did.
Whoa.
In 2003, one of his fans, who'd been to every concert, decided he wanted Weird Al to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because he didn't have one. 2003, he started a crowdfunding campaign.
You're giving me ideas, Jeremy.
In 2 years, he raised the necessary, at the time, 2005, $15,000 on his crowdfunding
It's
site.
a lot of money, but it's not an unfathomable
This
amount
was
of
probably before the word crowdfunding existed. And he applied and was denied. He applied every year. He applied for 11 years.
money. On behalf of Weird Al.
Yes, and,
But-
was denied every year.
I'm trying to think about how many years ago. 11 years ago was Weird Al in his waning. Was that his dark times? 11 years.
His
That was
dark
2007.
times. When was Weird Al's dark times? What do you mean?
Well, like in terms of popularity. Like he had a surge of popularity in the late 90s,
He did? Okay.
early thousands.
Yeah, you're right. Like what all about the Benjamins and stuff. Yeah,
and then White and Nerdy, and
right.
then
White and Nerdy's so good.
kind of I think fell through the cracks a little bit.
It's hard to keep up.
And then now a little bit of a resurgence.
Yeah. Well, he just had his final contractually obligated album finished.
So maybe now that's why the timing. It's
so-
a matter of timing.
So now it takes $40,000 to get a star on the
Inflation.
Yeah, big time.
Hyperinflation.
I love how all the stories of Weird Al's like generosity and how his fans have come out this week with these stars. Have you seen some of these? No. So like Chamillionaire, who wrote the original rap song that White and Nerdy went to, he came out with a story about how he thinks he won a Grammy because of Weird Al coming out with White and Nerdy, like repopularizing his song.
Wow.
Before that,
There you go.
he did a cover of one of Lady Gaga's songs, like "Baby I Was Born This Way," which was like turned into like an LGBT anthem. And Lady Gaga had donated a lot of profits from that song to support LGBT causes. And so Weird Al took all the money that was generated from the parody and donated it to the same cause.
That's great.
Weird Al's a good dude. He was just interviewed, well, maybe not just, but in the past year he was interviewed by Questlove on Questlove Radio, Questlove Supreme, which is an excellent series on Pandora if you've ever not heard it. Anyway, so 40K, and also all crowdfunded. Finally, 11th time was the charm. He was about ready to give up, this fan of his.
And he showed up.
And well, yeah, and it got approved. And of course, Weird Al showed up and
That would be embarrassing if he
got
did.
the Walk of Hall of Fame. And it was great. It was great. He had a funny little thing to say about don't take a pickaxe to my star.
Rough,
you know.
wow. Topical.
Yeah, exactly. He said, unless I do something absolutely horrible, in
Yeah,
which case, of
evil.
course, please, yeah, it makes sense. Go ahead and do it. Of
course.
Congrats.
Congratulations to Weird Al. I grew up with Weird Al. That's something we can all agree upon. Weird Al is great. We're talking about some movie casting news. This is a story that gets stranger and stranger. Remember how there are not one but two Joker movies in the works right now? There's or maybe more. There's the Jared Leto Joker movie, and then there is also a Joaquin Phoenix Joker, maybe not Joker, origin story movie. Well, this one falls into the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, And we have casting of a Wayne.
Okay.
Not Bruce Wayne,
Yeah.
but Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne. Alec Baldwin will play Thomas Wayne.
For like a scene? Like,
I don't know.
is that
This is upsetting.
Because we know what happens to this guy.
Yeah. It
Wait,
does
you
not
know
end.
you know something?
Yeah.
No, don't spoil it.
Well, he becomes the Batman.
What?
It's DC. Yeah, you don't know about this stuff.
There is actually a great alternative storyline that comes up sometimes in a Flashpoint paradox line where Thomas Wayne actually becomes Batman. That is actually a really interesting, kind of vicious storyline.
Who's Thomas?
Thomas
That's
Wayne
his
is his father.
Oh,
Bruce Wayne's father.
okay.
Because like in the alt storyline, Bruce Wayne gets killed in the alley.
He's married to Martha.
Damn. So
Yeah.
he loses his son and becomes Batman.
Yeah,
And he's a doctor, so he knows how to hurt people.
yeah, and he's much more vicious.
Violates.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. He's like Robin in that new movie.
Yeah, this is weird casting to me. I mean, this whole movie is upsetting to me, and
You
it's
got Mark
partial.
Maron. You got,
That doesn't
Beats
bother
is
me.
in it, and I'm
I'm
interested.
very pro Mark Maron after watching Glow season 2. I'm all in on Mark Maron, but I watched Dark Knight again a couple weeks ago. Why are we even bothering? Like after rewatching Heath Ledger's performance, like it's over.
It is over.
It's over.
What's weird about the whole thing is like who at Warner Brothers, why they signed off on not one but two Joker movies. To complete it, they must have been sold on some hook, some angle, some approach to the story, because it's confusing and fans are fickle and they can't agree on more than one thing. So to have so many Jokers come out, like there are people who think that Christian Bale should have been the Batman in the Justice League movie when it's clearly a whole separate character.
I don't understand, because Batman, maybe next to Spider-Man, has the best menagerie of villains out there.
Well, they're going after that Joker now.
Why do they keep coming back just to the same one? Because you can build such richness.
Is it because of Jack Nicholson? Because that's what people know?
I mean, Joker is the most famous one, but like,
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten it right twice. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And there's characters like Clayface and Man-Bat and
Are you making stuff up?
Firefly.
You're making this up.
that are great. I think really interesting villains.
I don't think Firefly's an
Okay, fine. I take that one back. That
Clayface
one's
is an interesting villain.
I take that one back.
Yeah, might as well go with Magpie.
Mr. Freeze, who's been abused.
You're making this up. I'm being trolled.
Oh, Mr. Freeze. Give me the Mr.
A
Freeze
good
movie.
Mr. Freeze.
Is that Arnold Schwarzenegger?
That's, well, in on screen, yes, that was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Okay.
But give me a good Mr. Freeze movie.
Yeah.
Do that character justice. All right. One more thing for nostalgia's sake. I care less about this casting news, but more about the fact that this is actually something that's going to be made. Guillermo del Toro has an adaptation that he's producing. I don't think he's actually directing it. And it's based on the book series, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Did either of you grow up with this book series?
No. Is it legit scary?
Now, it's one of those scary... yes, it's legit scary, but I'm going to qualify that. It was legit scary, and it's one of those things that were in your head. Anthology books, like short stories, like little horror tales that you tell around a campfire.
Yeah.
Right? Because, of course, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Scary not just because of the story, but because of the artwork associated.
Oh.
It was one of those book series where the art was so horrifying and so iconic to that book series that everyone of my generation growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, and mid 90s has this the story, the art for the story etched in their brain. You
Oh,
got to
wow.
Google it. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And I'm so glad Guillermo del Toro is producing it.
Huh. I mean, do you recommend this for like 8-year-olds?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
They like spiders and scary things and fingers falling off. And
Oh my God, this is horrifying.
it's horrifying.
Dude,
I might not be old enough for this.
what the hell?
This was in elementary school one of the scariest things.
You got to reevaluate your 8-year-old threshold.
Kids are fragile these days.
Reevaluate his 4-year-old threshold for us.
Oh my god! Did you guys have you seen the Nun trailer?
No.
I saw the poster.
I saw the poster too, yeah. Good?
I'm not into horror movies, so the trailer. Well, there's there are two things, right? The YouTube trailer was pulled from YouTube for being too scary, and I don't know if that was a stunt to get attention for this because they want it to be scary. But I'll tell you, that movie trailer, I was forced to watch it in front of Crazy Rich Asians of all things, and it was freaking terrifying. The trailer just, for the first 15 seconds,
Jump
lingers.
scares?
It lingers for the first 15 seconds of a slow zoom onto the portrait of the nun, and I just couldn't even look at the screen. I'm like, no.
Because you know something's going to happen.
And something does happen. And yes, to answer your question, Kishore, there was a jump scare in a movie theater, and it was one of those, I did not pay for. This is not the experience I paid to see.
Well, usually they associate the trailers with the film. Like,
Yeah.
this is the movie. This is related to the film you're going to see.
Genre-wise,
Yeah.
or even production company. I don't know why this was in front of
Interesting.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, our final story in pop culture this week. Well, not really a close to the saga of the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 production, but a little bit of an update. Disney has apparently put on hold production of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, telling the crew members they can, in the meantime, find some other work while they figure their stuff out.
Wait, what was it in production?
Pre-production with a
Pre-production.
roadmap,
Okay.
and so you book the crew, you book
Yeah.
all the locations, and now that's
Yeah, and I
being
think
put on hold.
Disney, or at least like sources within Disney, were quick to say this is just putting it on hold. They're not scrapping the film at all. Just with all the changes around the director, they can't move forward with any of the pre-production stuff.
Would you expect a different Marvel film to take its slot? Its release?
That's a good question. I think we're waiting for Avengers 4 to reset everything. And I'm assuming that a couple arcs are going to end in Avengers 4. Like there won't be an Iron Man 4.
Right.
Or a Cap 4. And so, we haven't seen Kevin Feige, like 4 years ago now? Or 3 years ago, announced the full slate of movies through Avengers 4 and hasn't really announced anything after that.
That's just next year.
I know, but I mean, so there's a whole blank slate. We're assuming Black Panther 2 and Guardians 3 and probably some others are going to emerge. But I assume there will be some new series too.
We start our talk of technology this week with self-driving cars, and a report from The Outline evaluating with some unnamed sources about the state of Google's Waymo initiative.
Do tell.
And it's not looking good.
Why not?
Well, Waymo is being tested right now in, Colorado? Phoenix,
Arizona.
and in a small town where they got the rights to do it. It lives among other cars, as self-driving cars will have to do initially with human-controlled cars.
But it's unique because it doesn't require a human behind the wheel.
Correct. And so it does actually run and operate among those cars.
Right.
And it looks like the city that was chosen was very grid-like, a very optimal city for testing this type of LiDAR-based, maps-based, computer vision-based autonomous driving. And according to some of the reports from their sources, they're failing at some very, very basic operations.
You know, you say that like, come on, Waymo. This is hard stuff.
It
Like-
is. And
like
I think the story here is not that it's unexpected, but that the problems are harder than anyone think, and that for all the money that's being put into autonomous driving, it really seems like this pipe dream that we're not close to right now.
Well,
Go
what
ahead.
do you mean by basic operations, though? Because I think like what we oftentimes think as basic operations are really hard computationally because they chain a bunch of things together.
Right. And so, like, even being in a car that does some semi-autonomous driving, right? Drive assist, staying in the lanes on a freeway, between the lanes, that I would not consider, that's the most basic. We're talking about basic operations at slow speeds in intersections, mostly, where traffic merges, where traffic can be a little bit unpredictable, or even when it's predictable, it relies on some type of nonverbal, some type of visual communication between drivers. The prime example being an unprotected left turn. If you're in a T intersection and you may need to make a left turn and you don't have a light, you're unprotected, that is a scenario where, as a driver, everyone in this room knows to instinctively look left and right, and it is risky. You feel the risk every time you make an unprotected left turn in a busy intersection. Apparently, the Waymo cars are terrible at that, according to the outline.
See, that strikes me as actually very difficult to
It is.
do autonomously. So I'm not surprised by that.
And Waymo's come out and said that it is their stance that unprotected left turns are inherently risky, and that's why UPS trucks are not advised to make those. But it is something that is a natural part of the fabric of our traffic system, and you have to be able to navigate those for autonomous cars in city streets to work. Other things, merging onto busy freeway, especially in scenarios where you have like those signal lights that change when you get in a merge and they allow one car to move per signal light. That's not technically. Are you supposed to stop there? Is it a full stop? People don't really full stop. They kind of, they California roll into that merge. The Waymo cars don't know how to really tackle that.
And that's fair. How cool would it be if Waymo introduced like an artificial hand and it would just roll down the window and stick the hand out as it was merging?
Well, I think that's part of it. There's not a lot of ways for the car to communicate to other drivers its intention other than signaling, right? Like when we drive, there's a lot of communication, driver to driver, with glances, with waves, and that's something that's not built in to these systems, or not something that's not, even if you find a way to approximate those with lights or with some type of
or a horn, yeah,
right. It's not something that other drivers are accustomed to right now.
We talked about how this is interesting because, ironically, it's harder now for autonomous cars to exist than it will be in the future because there are so few of them. Once there are more autonomous cars, once every car is autonomous, or at least intelligent, then they'll be able to communicate with each other with their own language.
And how do you get over that hump without accepting some of the faults, such as fender benders? You're going to get the fender benders. You're going to run into curbs. And then some people have talked about how just fundamentally the way these car systems are analyzing the roads. Yes, having a map of the road and having LiDAR systems or even radar systems that can bounce on their cars can give you some advantages over human driving. But the sphere of information they have and their data sensing is much less than an experienced driver being able to see a mile down a road and the actions of a car coming toward them. You and I are always going to be better at information gathering in long distances than a car is necessarily. And then, autonomous car proponents would say, well, it's the pedestrian's fault. The unpredictability, the erratic behavior of that the cars have to navigate right now, autonomous cars have to navigate in the short term, the quote-unquote short term, is a fault of other people. Pedestrians being erratic. Anyone who's gone through a busy intersection where you make a left turn and there are people trying to cross a street, a autonomous car would freak out there and not know what to do. If pedestrians had stoplights or gave right of way to autonomous cars, this wouldn't be a problem, but that's not a thing that's going to happen. That's not realistic. And in the scenario you're talking about, Jeremy, where even if autonomous cars work better when there are more of them on the road than human-driven cars, the human-driven cars will have to be held to a higher standard of accountability. It's like thinking of when we move from horses to cars, right? At some point, there were more horses than there were cars. And people riding horses can kind of go as freely as they want because they didn't have to deal with the cars. Then when there were more cars than horses, horses can still coexist, but the horses then are the minority and have to be held to a higher standard.
I wonder if drivers will start to take advantage of the self-driving cars at that point, the human drivers, knowing that
manipulating.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And knowing that the AIs will be cautious, more cautious, less aggressive.
Because there's no empathy.
Right.
You have zero empathy.
Right.
Right now, people barely have empathy with other human drivers.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about a world where there are no left turns. Like, is that actually better?
Okay.
Somebody's probably done the math. No, like if everyone just takes right turns, like just in a localized city, especially like where there's more one-way streets, like I could bet.
Is this something that you can toggle? You can switch on in SimCity.
Yeah, or
No left
City
turn
XL,
mode.
GTA. But like a left turn with a one-way street's fine, right?
Yeah, I'm sort of imagining that it could be faster if all the cars just,
And you're talking
run
about
around.
just in not Britain, everywhere
Yeah.
but the UK.
Yes, not the UK. Have you tried messing with any of the autonomous cars that are out in the city?
No, and I don't want to do it.
What do you mean messing? Like I'm talking about? Like
This is a little mean, but I
hate
think I
this.
did this.
what'd you do?
I was at a stop sign, and one of the autonomous cars, I think it's called Cruise, was out. That's one of the more common ones we see around here.
In a Bolt, probably.
Yeah, I think it was. And it was a 4-way stop, and they were doing everything right, but it was definitely, I kind of went ahead of my turn against the Cruise and saw it kind of like jerk a little bit. So I was messing with it a little bit just to see how it would react. That's bad. That's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
I
I would say
should
that's
feel bad.
You should, but
But
you know,
it's interesting. How do you not
the
experiment
point
with
is,
it?
I think there are going to be a lot of people who are going to mess with autonomous cars. Not even drivers. I think there's going to be vandalism
Yeah.
on autonomous cars.
What?
People are going to, I think people are going to throw paint on their sensors and try to break their light because they feel like it's not a real person. It's just a nameless giant tech conglomerate with billions of dollars, and people are assholes. And no one would dare go in the street and throw a bucket of black paint over the windshield of a driver, right? But I don't think anyone's going to get arrested in the short term.
That's why the robots are going to rise up. It's that kind of behavior.
No, I think that's why the corporations continue sucking your money. Okay, moving on from driverless cars. Hey, I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, there was a big, long gameplay. What is it? It's not a trailer. This is a gameplay capture.
Demo?
Yeah.
This was what was shown at E3. There was a lot of buzz at this year's E3 about Cyberpunk 2077. There was a trailer that was released. We talked about a very montage of very futuristic scenes, dystopian scenes, weird concepts, and but some journalists were able to go backdoors and watch this real-time, almost hour-long, 48-minute long demo. And that capture in 4K resolution with some narration has been released online. Now, the game's not out for, we think, at least a year and a half.
Came out
right?
2 days ago. It has over 5 million views.
Oh, yeah. This is a big deal in the video game business. People think it'll probably be 2020. It may not even be this gen consoles, although the graphics look like it could play. I mean, it plays on a high-end PC probably, and it could probably play on a console here. But we got a lot of sense of the kind of game it was. And if you like Deus Ex, if you love, big fan of that kind of first-person RPG with Cyberpunk and tech upgrades, this game looks like it could be a lot of fun.
Did it follow through on, I think a lot of the reviews and reactions says it. It's a little bit more adult of a game, too.
Yeah, they make a point. It is mature, and there's nudity in it. There's drug use. It's the world building that they've done. It looks like a hyper massively dense version of like a GTA city. So it's set in this night city, Northern California. But they say they want to have zero load time, so it's all hidden in elevators and other things.
Half-Life did it.
And but it's an open world RPG, so drive anywhere, go anywhere, crazy tech upgrades. Like you're putting shard computers in your neck, and the UI that pops up in your overlay.
And
is
I want to
responsive
say
that.
the nudity that I saw, and I didn't watch the whole. I skimmed through it to like check out the different gameplay mechanics that
Yeah.
there are. But the nudity I saw was not sexualized. It was certainly adult in nature, but it was
More gory. if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about I thought adult in the context of a more mature game. Like there's more mature themes
Oh,
at play.
for sure. This is
yeah.
M-rated.
The other thing is you are about to become a dad. So
Yes.
when you make a game choice now, when you make a choice to invest in a game, you have very limited time. Is this meet that criteria?
Well, for me, it's almost like, is this a game that will get me to play a game on a TV again, or a computer monitor again? Because
What?
right now I'm just playing VR games.
Oh,
Right? Like this.
Yeah.
I need flat screen gaming experiences have to be really compelling for me to be interested.
Someone in one of the subreddits, the VR subreddit, said that they went on the Discord, on the Cyberpunk Discord, and said, please
Make this in VR.
consider VR support. And apparently the general consensus was, go away, VR's a fad. And the guy was eventually banned.
Wow.
Yeah.
This game, like for a AAA game like this, that's going to be hours and hours of gameplay. I can't imagine how much it would cost to actually make this VR
Yeah.
compatible
But
in
a
a
lot-
meaningful way.
Bethesda did it. It could be done.
I'm not saying it can't be done, but it won't be cheap.
No.
And a lot of the mechanics it's not multiplayer, but a lot of the mechanics are and require movement that VR doesn't really support. The double jumps, wall jumping, that kind of stuff. The fast-paced movement.
Does it? There's wall jumping in this?
And at the very end, they upgrade the character, the max levels. The cool thing is a lot of like the UI things you take for granted in first-person shooters, highlighting around enemies, the zooms you get are kind of all written into the story as cybernetic upgrades. So you go to your local upgrade center, they you plug something in your eye, and then you can get things that upgrade your hands, so you can get better like response from your weapon. There's in the fiction of the world, there's whole like sub companies of like people who have insurance, medical insurance. So if they get injured, then a whole army comes in to rescue them because they've paid
And with guns.
with guns. Like, get away from my client. They paid for the premium insurance, and they have a cough, so we got to protect them and send them to the hospital. There are
It'd be more
junkies.
accurate if like the insurance bots come and then like mistake them for the wrong person and like have you sign a lot of forms.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good gameplay though.
No. There's the whole gang called the Borg they love cybernetic implants. They just want to become full machine. And so
Nice.
they've augmented a lot of their body parts, and lots of like drones, spiders, flying drones. It's an RPG dialogue trees. It looks a lot of fun.
Do you think that like revealing this much gameplay, which is like 45 minutes or so?
Yeah,
is
40
what-
minutes, and they
do you think that spoils anything?
No, I mean, I think they show essentially one quest done one way with one variation of character. And the thing they emphasized was like, it's an RPG. These choices you make in the beginning for your character and these decisions you make will pay off in different ways in the end. And this one quest you saw that we completed this one way can be completed a variety of different ways. So they really wanted to show you that this is going to be an expansive thing. And it's, the makers of the Witcher series and PC gamers love that. And this is the Futurama.
Do you
of
really
that.
think it won't be out next year?
Yeah, I think
Why are they showing so much?
that's a really good question. And big text on the top. This is all early gameplay. Everything's subject to change. It's getting 5 million views, getting people talking about it, getting us talking about it.
It's like, it's a full-fledged city. There's AI for every character in the city.
That's what they said.
Going about their business.
Yep.
There's automobiles you can hijack. You can drive around the city like GTA.
It's Blade Runner Fifth Element video
Ghost
game.
in the
Yeah.
Shell,
Yeah.
It looks incredible.
Neuromancer, all that stuff.
Though I will say this isn't the only E3 buzzed game that released a trailer kind of thing this week. Did you
Oh?
not see Untitled Goose Games trailer?
What's that?
That is the best game that came out of E3.
Untitled Goose Game? Oh, when you're a goose.
When you're a goose and you
Yeah.
have to like distract your owner and stuff. They
Yeah,
finally
yeah.
released a trailer. It's coming out in 2019. It is ridiculously silly.
All right.
But I thought it looked. I'm all in on that game.
They also recently announced Into the Breach and Towerfall are coming to Switch. 2 excellent games.
Speaking of video games and consoles, Microsoft has announced a new all-access subscription plan, which is a really interesting way to get in on an Xbox One X. And right now they have Xbox Live, which is like required pay if you want to play multiplayer, and they also have the Game Pass, which is like the new fad in game hardware console subscriptions. You get like a new game every month. or
Yeah,
access
as
to
long as you stay subscribed.
Exactly, as long as you stay subscribed. It's the Netflix of gaming. And in addition to that, if you're going to plan on subscribing to those, you can also get at least hardware. An Xbox One X for $35 a month.
Ouch.
Which it's a lot.
Is that a
right?
good deal?
Well, if you do the math, apparently it's 2 years for $35 a month. It ends up being $860. But if you bought the hardware at today's prices, MSRP, plus paid those 2 subscription plans, you'd be paying. You'd be paying $860. Here you'd be saving $20, but you'd be paying $840 over the span of 2 years.
Yeah, but then you can sell it.
I think you get to keep the hardware, so maybe it's not exactly
Oh.
a lease.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
So it's a payment plan. And they have one for the Xbox One S if you don't need the X. And it would cost you $530 for 2 years, but the hardware and subscription service will be worth $660. So you're saving $130.
Aren't new consoles set for next year, or is it the year after?
This is the thing where it's like they want to get you on the subscription plan because once you're bought in at $35 a month or whatever, year and a half down the line, they might have new hardware to announce, and they might just get you to keep on subscribing. It's like phones. It's what Apple's been doing for phones with their upgrade plans for the past couple of years. And now this is just it for hardware. Also on the Xbox One front, there's also a upcoming new white Xbox One X, if you care about that. New color scheme with a white controller. Yes, no?
No.
No?
No.
Next story, please.
$500, November 14th. All right.
I did order a white electric scooter, though.
Oh, what'd you get?
I forget. I did all this research, and then I ended up ordering one from Walmart. Cause
And you can just find those on the street, my man.
I know the bird scooters, but
Don't they yell at you if you even try to move them?
Calling
the police.
My son and I, we're going to the park a lot these days, but we don't like the going to the park part, so because it's uphill, and it's several blocks. So I got an electric scooter. I'm gonna take my electric board. He's gonna take the electric scooter, and then we'll be at the park more often. That's the thought. I'll review that one so I got it.
And like, for those that have never ridden these, how fast do they go?
This one goes 15 miles an hour.
Oh, that's scooting.
That's pretty standard. Is 15 for whatever reason because they got
that's moving though.
24-volt motor or 24-volt battery. Yeah.
Get you how far? What's the range?
Like 10 miles, 15 miles maybe.
Oh, that's actually not bad.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine. Yeah, I look forward to trying it.
In the camera world, this is a story that we missed last week. Nikon, big momentous occasion for Nikon. They have moved into full-frame mirrorless cameras with a new Z camera line. These are two cameras that take direct competition to Sony's A7 III series, the A7 III or R3 series, and this is the Z7 and the Z6. Same body design, but different features in terms of megapixels, focus points, and ISO range. And Nikon and Sony actually share the sensors in their cameras. So one company is making sensors for the others for a long time. So it's really about the processing and also the lens support. Will require a new type of lens, a Z-mount lens, and there will be a $250 adapter that allows full compatibility with autofocus and exposure with Nikon's full-frame f-mount.
Why a
lenses.
new lens?
Because with the mirrorless, you just need a new mount because the format is different. Like the distance between the lens, and because there's no prism, the distance between this lens and the sensor,
how about that,
is different.
Does Canon do a full frame mirrorless?
Canon does not do a full frame mirrorless.
They're last to the party, huh?
They have a smaller sensor size mirrorless. Sony is the one that's been really kicking butt. In that world, and these will come out, I believe, in November, and the higher end one will be $3,400, and the lower end one will be $2,000, which is that's compelling price. I mean, that's the A7 III. Gunther has it, and he's been really, really loving it. So it'll be interesting to see how those two cameras compare. Let me close this window. This is it's a little bit of a science story, but did you see this research project for basically deep fakes for body movements?
This was crazy. Like, I almost don't believe this. I believe this was human manipulated or something. This was crazy. They took video of people moving against a static with a lockdown camera.
Researchers out of UC Berkeley.
They shot people moving their bodies, not dancing necessarily, just moving around. And then they used another video of someone actually dancing. And the computer, using deep learning, was able to apply the dance moves of the dancer to the people in the videos
video
of just where they were just moving around.
I think it's important to say that they analyzed dancing video first, the source video.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it's ballet or Bruno Mars, whatever, and in the video that they show, the computer, you can see the detected pose.
Yeah.
Right. They figure out where the joint should be.
Yeah.
And that is difficult, but not something that we haven't seen before.
No, but it was
skeletal
interesting.
modeling.
It's interesting that it was done strictly with video and not using a Kinect, right, or something like that.
Right, and when we went to that augmented reality conference, we saw, based on video, skeletal modeling.
It's cool. It's very cool.
That part I think is absolutely cool. But the cooler thing is applying that data with new video, and this is where the really deep learning is. It's in filling in the gaps of video.
It's in making their bodies move in ways that the source video never showed.
Right, and the new source video for you would be just random movements. You spinning in circles.
Yeah.
So that gets not only a sense of what your skeletal movements are, but some video of you from all sides.
Now, it's not 100% perfect, but the imperfections are more than forgivable. Like the hands disappear now and then.
And the face on different angles.
But
they do great transitions.
But there's a whole subroutine that does handle the face and makes it look as good as possible. And I was stunned that it looked that good because the head is constantly moving where it's supposed to move.
Yeah.
Based on where the source videos, the actual dancer actually moved his or her
The face
head.
stuff is always the toughest part.
It's incredible. They have these shadows that apply throughout the body. It doesn't do fabric, so you have to wear tight clothing. So you can't do loose fitting fabric.
Right.
But
Makes sense.
they couldn't do that in the freaking Matrix.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
This is like the new ragdoll physics, right? It's mimicking body movements.
Yeah. I mean, I'm blown away by this. I would love to know more about what level of human interaction was required to make this happen.
They're right across the bay.
What still kind of blows my mind too is they're able to separate like the background too,
Yeah.
like all the noise that exists.
I think the background's the easy part because the background's static.
But the thing is, like, they're applying like I guess so. But I mean, in both videos, they disregard all this noise that's in the room because these people are moving about, so things are changing in terms of the background. Anyways, I thought that was sort of a fascinating part about this. This is creepy as hell.
You could send a video of yourself being manipulated to dance to somebody in your family, and they would believe it was freaking real.
Like, should just compress it a little bit.
It looks like the person dancing. You'd have to have a really keen eye to sell that this was manipulated. It's neat.
Yeah. Very cool stuff. Did you see that someone posted on Twitter screen grab or a clip from Measure of a Man where Star Trek Next Generation season 2 episode where Data is evaluated, and he talks about his processor capacity, and he talks about operating at his 60 trillion operations per second.
Oh, yeah?
And that's basically six teraflops.
Okay.
You get a handful of 3 NVIDIA Volta graphics cards that we talked about last week would run at Data's speed.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
And you can rent that on a server for like $25 a month,
I can have data for $25 a month.
basically. I think they missed an order of magnitude there.
Is NVIDIA using a positronic net?
No.
Oh, well, then it doesn't matter.
There you go. We are another week closer to expected new iPhones, new Apple products.
Hey, where's the announcement? Where's the invite? I mean, not for us,
Yeah,
But
it's
like,
just for people in general. I just want to see the picture of the
Yeah.
invite, right? And the report from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who has been a good track record of the inside know, says there will be a massive new phone this year. 3 new phones.
Is it going to be iPhone X like?
Whole new designs that
what do you mean?
like the iPhone X.
10.
iPhone 10, sorry. The iPhone 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I say X just to tweak the people.
You say
As an
OS X too?
Yeah, as an Android person.
Well, no, none of these phones will be all like iPhone X. They will be there'll be some type of hybrid.
It worked. But are we going to still get notch and that kind of stuff?
Yep.
It seems like, why wouldn't they double down on that? Because it felt like iPhone 8 was sort of it just tacked on last year with how much they were raving about the 10. So
And the large one will apparently have a 6.5-inch screen.
that's like Galaxy Note size. What are they doing?
That's like tablet size. It's mini tablet size. What was the screen
There's
size?
your
on
iPad
the,
mini.
I know. on the
Just
iPad
buy a
mini,
phone.
I think that's 7, right?
Right? Yeah. Yeah, different aspect ratio. So the mini probably had more surface area.
6.5. This phone's gonna be like $1,500.
Yeah. I think they looked at the market and how many people were willing to pay $1,000 for a new phone, and they said, "Oh, we think we can get people to pay even more."
I've never I understand some people like that size that use more of the tablet-like functions, but I just think that's such a niche market.
There's also apparently the iPhone 10 will get itself an upgrade, the same 5.8 inch screen, but the changes might be new processing speed, of course, and new camera. So your very standard upgrades, and then a cheaper version will have a large screen, but a cheaper device, and it will be LCD instead of OLED, 6.1 inch screen, multiple colors.
Will that be the iPhone 9?
Whatever is going to replace iPhone 8, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll go above 10, if they'll be an 11, or if they'll do like the OS 10.
That's the biggest question. What is their numbering scheme?
Yeah.
What is their naming scheme?
Is there anything that would make either of you upgrade?
No, and I think that's the problem.
Yes.
What is it?
A headphone jack.
Oh.
And I am not kidding.
I don't think it's going to happen.
There's no way you would pay another $1,000 just to get the headphone jack.
They won't go back.
Yes, I would. Because it would come with other things that would help me justify it. Yeah.
I will.
Justifying it
I would
is the name of the game.
2 hours on a podcast next week talking you out of that if I need to.
It's not going to happen.
It's not happening.
It's not going to happen.
Doesn't matter.
All right. I think we can skip through the rest of it. Yeah, we're pretty good.
All right.
Let's go to a moment of science.
But that's not what you have written in the show notes, friend.
Oh, well, before we get to a moment of science, I want to thank the other sponsor of this week's episode, and that's Evident. Evident is revolutionizing the way personal data is shared. Evident provides a simple, secure platform that lets businesses confidently know who they are dealing with without handling sensitive personal data. With connections to thousands of authoritative sources through a single API, Evident is the only platform that enables comprehensive, accurate, and up-to-date identity and credential verifications. Companies can create a solid foundation of trust and safety on their platform, allowing them to seamlessly verify workers in less time and with more confidence. Evident is bringing confidence and peace of mind to personal data interactions across the globe. Check out evidentid.com/test to sign up and get started immediately. Again, that's evidentid.com/test to sign up and start running verifications in minutes. And thank them for sponsoring this week's episode.
Time for a moment of science. So 3 stories this week. Norm, you remember going to CERN a couple years ago now, and when they were talking about the discovery of the Higgs boson, the confirmation, one of the key elements in that discussion wasn't that they didn't observe the Higgs boson directly. They saw the decay products of it.
Inference.
Yeah, and so they used muon decay to sort of track back that the Higgs boson occurred. And this week, CERN announced that they doubly confirmed in a different decay pattern, because the Higgs boson supposedly has more than one decay pattern than what we saw. So what they tracked was actually a anti-bottom quark decay pattern. Yeah, but the naming pattern in quarks is pretty great. And we haven't talked about charm quarks very much here on the podcast, but the standard model predicts something like 50 to 60% of Higgs boson decays. I think it's 57% would decay in this anti-bottom quark pattern, and they finally saw it. So this does just confirm more aspects of the standard model, and if you remember most of that trip, they were looking for ways to break the standard model of physics. This adds to the confirmation, but they're hoping that it's just another point along the way to breaking it. All right, now to the crazy stuff. All right, I'm going to play a video for Jeremy's eyes. And it's this idea out there that wasps suck. They are horrifying creatures.
I've heard this theory.
Yeah, they're terrible. And there's a set of wasps that are parasitic. They're called parasitoid wasps.
Even worse.
Disgusting.
And the video that I'm showing Jeremy is a wasp that has evolved to be a parasitoid to a tarantula. And what it does is it sticks its...
Oh, my God.
It sticks its
macro
stinger Yeah.
Oh my God.
Into a tarantula.
Ooh.
And it uses essentially neurotoxins to paralyze it.
Dude, this
And
wasp
then
is huge.
And then it gets even weirder. Then it's able to manipulate the tarantula's brain to actually move. I'm going to turn this off.
Whoa, manipulating.
its brain to have the tarantula move.
But like move in general or move in a direction?
It's like, those puppeting it.
Oh my
and
God.
it puppets it back to the tarantula's lair.
Oh my God.
Then the wasp lays eggs inside the tarantula, and the eggs when they hatch, they eat the tarantula from inside out. And so these parasitoid wasps are incredibly common.
Ugh.
And it's starting to see the tarantula is actually moving its appendages.
Why does it take it back to its lair?
Because that's the safe place, free from any other predators, where it can lay its eggs.
Where its eggs will survive?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so long in this field of research, they've thought, there's been an open question: how many parasitoid wasps are there? Like, how many have they evolved? And now there's new evidence that have come out this week that there might be parasitoid wasps for almost every insect out there. And so
the wasps are controlling the insects.
their researchers found a fossil of an insect that were 30 to 40 million years old, and it was a pupa of a type of fly. And they did this incredible X-ray scan, and Jeremy can see the scan. I'll put it in the show notes. And they found within that fly a pupa of a parasitoid-like egg. And this is starting to suggest that there's so many parasitoid wasps out there that we couldn't believe. And if you had to name this, what would you name this?
The wasp?
Yeah. Because it's a new species.
I don't know. It's not. Is it like it's like a zombification kind of thing? I don't know.
They named it Xenomorphia resurrecta.
Oh my God, that's pretty great.
That's really cool.
And Xenomorphia handskinny, which is, yeah, so they named it after the alien gut busting stuff. This is just insane. If this starts to hold, if they find more parasitoid wasps out there, it just adds to the creepiness. Everyone's sort of, in a rage about the bees in Times Square, but the wasps are where it's at.
I mean, that wasp is humongous. That's not a wasp that
No.
I see around San Francisco.
No, these are rare. I mean, not rare, but they're evolved to
Yeah.
be a predator for these, different animals. So we don't see a lot of tarantulas here either. So why would they live here?
Yeah, let's keep it that way.
And our last story is in biomedical research, oftentimes mice are used as models for human discovery. And that's especially true in neuroscience. And this week, researchers were doing slices of human brains and found a type of neuron that had previously never been seen. Think about that for a second. Like, we have cell types in our body that we're still discovering. Out of the trillions of cells.
A whole new organ that was just discovered.
Well, I mean, that wasn't really discovery. It was just
I see.
These things are more connected than we thought.
Categorized.
We're going to categorize it this way. And so this isn't, a different neuron, and it's been known about. But what was different is mice don't have this, but we do.
Mice are stupid.
And so these are called rosehip neurons. There's a great piece in Wired this week that really goes into a ton of detail about them, but we don't know much about the function. But just because they are absent in mice and present in us gives us some indication that what is it about us that arise that mice don't have?
Superiority.
Oh, yeah, just a sense of smugness.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, mice don't have that, right? So, I mean, could this be the source of that? There's a lot of excitatory signals that flow through these. We don't totally know what they do, but I think it's totally. I mean, I don't know how else to say this. We found a different type of neuron in our brain.
I didn't know
that we didn't really know was there.
What's news to me is we thought we had the same neurons as mice. I didn't know that.
Well, it's just oftentimes used as models for human beings, but this just calls into question.
We live in the dark ages, I tell you.
I am so sorry for showing you that video.
Oh my, it's gonna nightmares.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
Love that intro.
All right. Who here likes Beat Saber?
It's all right.
I like
All
that game.
right. It's a phenomenon.
It is no doubt.
It's a VR
You didn't
phenomenon.
say who here thinks it's a phenomenon.
Well,
My play space isn't adapted to it. Too small.
Well, maybe you should find a bigger place.
It's a standing game.
Like a VR arcade.
Right.
Might be the place to play it, and it might be better than your Jurassic Park VR experience that you had last week, Jeremy.
Low bar.
Well, Beat Saber announced that they are going to start working on the Beat Saber arcade machines.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Give me a good lightsaber hilt.
Why Oculus or Vive isn't funding this is beyond me, because this is what would sell headsets. Like, not the Void, because that's different. But getting this out into arcades is what will make people buy this stuff.
So what's interesting, there is like a render of what they hope this arcade will look like. They say it will be self-operating, no attendant required, and it will have a kind of a overhang hooked headset, so you'll be free to move around 360 with a pad that you're supposed to stand on.
It's not 360.
But
It's not 360.
but
you don't
the
need to do
hu-
360.
The attendant is there to clean it.
So that's the question.
No, self-cleaning.
What?
Put the headset back in the compartment.
It's like a stall in the bathroom. It's up to you. You know, they have wipes there if you want them.
Arcades
if you
are
want
already
'em.
gross. This is pretty gross.
Well, hey man, I don't remember anybody cleaning the Jurassic Park VR experience. Like, for all I know, that headset was worn by 8 people that day. I don't know.
They'd be lucky. I'm really curious what the form factor will take like.
What do you
Look
mean?
Like for the headset, the comfort of because they have to make it easy for you to put on.
Don't you think it'll just be? Do you think, is it Vive? Can you tell?
No, you can't tell. It looks like it doesn't look like they've announced any partnerships yet.
Huh.
Some type of tethered headset.
Do you think we'll get to Beat Saber competitions like we get with DDR? Seems like that would make sense, right?
Wait a minute. I can't zoom
I
in on this.
don't.
I mean, like, of all the games that people have tried to pitch as like VR competitive mode, this one makes more sense to me because it builds off infrastructure that already exists.
The visuals have to be cooler for spectators.
Those are Windows Mixed
visual-
Reality controllers, aren't they?
Those are.
And isn't
Yeah.
that a Windows Mixed Reality
Yeah.
headset?
You think they're going to use the Windows Mixed Reality?
Why not? It'd be perfect for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just what the artists use for their rendering.
Yeah.
What's funny is that the whole thing is really ornate. It looks like something Raw Thrills would make for Dave and Buster's or
It
something.
really has that attract mode lighting.
Yeah.
Like they need to get.
It's super sexy, but of course, it could be plywood once you got the headset on.
It would be cooler, like this nondescript box.
Right. That becomes
Everyone's
something.
so excited to put on the headset.
Yeah.
What's in there? You got to put on the headset, and then it they know where the box is, where the front is, and it looks so much cooler in that world.
I get it. It makes you want to play it, but it's neat. It's funny.
And it works because they made all the songs.
So you
They
know
got
what?
the licensing.
Did you say this? It won't be in America.
It's in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
We're
least.
taking a trip. I mean, that's where VR arcades are increasing in popularity.
Let's do a field trip.
Field trip to Japan for the VR arcade tour.
For Mario
Maybe in a
Kart, it
couple
might be
years.
worth it.
Yeah. That would be cool. We've been excited for PSVR's upcoming releases, one of which is Astrobot Rescue Mission, expansion on the Astrobot character that was in the PSVR the Playroom. And now there is, a launch date?
We played it at E3.
Yes, the Rescue Mission. You played it.
Yeah, it was fun. They got October 2nd is the release date.
October 2nd.
So
Nice.
a lot of people who played the PlayStation VR experience don't remember it was like a bunch of mini games, and one of them was this little robot
Yep.
platformer kind of thing,
Lived in the controller.
which was cool because it was actually 2-player in a funny way. I'm not sure that they have that here. If there's like a asynchronous thing where the person watching the TV sees something different or not, they didn't have that working at E3. But in any case, even if they don't have that working, it's a solid platformer. I'm excited to play this. There's not too many PlayStation VR exclusives that come out that are really exciting to me, but
Yeah.
this is one of them. I'd be excited to play this.
And first party?
Yeah. By the way, the Beat Saber will also be in South Korea.
Ah.
Yeah.
Asia. Yes. EA, the reports are they are working on, they bought Respawn Entertainment, the previous developers of Call of Duty, and then the developers left and formed Respawn, made Titanfall, and EA has acquired them, and they are still working on an unannounced AAA VR shooter.
Okay, that's exciting.
What do you think that could mean?
A lot of loot boxes in VR.
Oh God.
Come on, it was the easy hanging fruit.
Yeah, too easy. Gameplay wise, I hope that this means it's a first big publisher like EA going after releasing a fully fledged out VR game that's end to end made for VR.
Like in what vein? Like a Robo Recall kind of vein? Is that what you're hoping for?
I'm hoping for something more story driven. Yeah. Oh, Rec Room. Hey, this is something that may be divisive.
Okay.
Literally in the community. Rec Room is opening up cross-platform play between VR and flat screen.
Okay. Yeah. Now, first of all, they did this for VR owners. Like VR owners, for a while, they were testing it by letting you, if you wanted, play without your headset on.
Right.
I don't know if anybody did that or not, but
Why would you if you have the VR headset?
because it's an advantage.
It is.
Keep
That's the thing.
Keep the normies out.
If you're playing, this is like the flip side of the old console, keyboard, mouse versus gamepad debate. Remember when Halo 2 first came out and you needed Windows 10? There was cross-platform play where you could play with the gamepad on your Xbox, on your Windows, well, not Windows 10, Windows 7?
Windows.
And play Halo 2. We did a test where you had keyboard, mouse, Halo versus gamepad, and as expected,
Yeah.
keyboard, mouse destroyed gamepad players.
So
in
if
Halo.
there's certain games in Rec Room, like Rec Royale, where it's particularly with guns like the sniper rifle, which are very difficult to use in VR because you have to steady it somehow.
And my point is that with the console PC controller debate, when you're playing with keyboard and mouse, I would argue that was the platform that was more fun and the one that gave you the competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the difference between VR and flat screen is that VR, I think, is more fun, but the less fun experience may give you the competitive advantage with keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, and then it's like, are you playing to win or playing to have fun?
Yeah.
And the problem is, like, they're not just letting these people in, and who knows what that will do to the community.
What do you mean with these people?
Yeah.
These flat screeners.
Exactly. They're letting them in, but the new default mode for joining all the rooms is free for all, so they will all be in there together. If you just want VR players in Rec Room, you have to join that special room.
How could you design a way to give VR players, put them on equal footing with a weapon like the sniper rifle in the game?
What, you mean with flat screeners?
With flat screeners.
Can't do it. Now,
You have to have increased bob.
oh God, like some artificial
bob.
no.
Things constantly spawning in behind you.
It's a mess. Like they
Even
just
then.
they gotta segregate the community. I mean, I bet that's where this is going. I assume. Now, on one level, Rec Room doesn't want it to be uber competitive. Like they want it to be fun. You know,
Yes.
we're all in it together. Oh, I lost, no big deal. But I don't think people are gonna take it that way.
No, it's going to get competitive.
Yeah.
They're going to be in there to win.
I'm a little concerned. about this.
Maybe you may have an advantage in combat-wise and under a scope, but maybe movement is a little more restricted. Like, how do you enhance the immersion for VR when you have full-body tracking or at least your head tracking?
I think that there's definitely some interesting avenues to go.
Well, let's go from a basic technical analysis. In VR, you can look and shoot in two different directions.
Yep.
That itself, that's a big advantage.
Yes.
Right. I can literally strafe with the controller in one hand, look one direction, and actually be firing another direction. I can blind fire that way.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you're saying there's an advantage to being in VR.
I think there's advantage. That's a technical advantage
I
of being
see.
in VR.
But if a PC player has a sniper rifle, there's no way you're going to compete with that in VR.
Yeah.
And that's a maybe
Not even the sniper rifle, the pirate gun.
aiming anything is going to
Yeah.
be easier in VR.
Yeah.
I mean, in a mouse and keyboard.
Well, and also think of the mechanics. The reloading mechanic is a physical thing.
Yeah. So
Right,
a button press
you're-
is a lot faster.
A button press way faster.
Yeah. We should try it. We should play through Pirate Quest in mouse and keyboard.
Oh, and see if we can beat it really easily.
See if it's easier.
I'm happy to do that.
I'm curious what the controls are like.
And like swords, how do you do swords?
I know.
Right?
I know. There's got to be just a
I don't
swing
like
button.
it. I bet it won't be fun.
It's a swing button.
It's not.
It's
fun.
not about fun. You made that point already.
Yeah.
It's about a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And it's about letting people in. Like, on one level, I get it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this company is not monetizing in any way, shape, or form yet.
Everyone wants hats.
But they need more players in order to get there.
Well, guess
Right.
what? The hats are so much more powerful when it feels like you're actually wearing it. And you look in a mirror and you can bob your head around.
Preaching to the choir.
Than it is if you're just moving keyboard
So,
WASD.
but what I'm
around.
saying is I understand Against Gravity's decision to let flat screeners in. Like, it makes business sense.
Yeah.
That's all it is a business decision.
It doesn't make business sense if it hurts the existing fan base and the existing community.
A
So-
very compelling point, Norman Chan.
So unless the content is strong enough that we can't resist it and we're going to be playing no matter what,
Right.
how much will our fun be diminished?
I know they're being cautious about it. I know they're going to listen to they're very curious what people think.
I also wonder how many flat screeners are actually going to enjoy rec.
It's free.
Real.
It's free. Like, the kids love free.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm not sure how much fun
Mm-hmm.
that world is.
It's just strange to me because I always thought of it as a built from ground up for VR exclusively. And now it is like letting flat screeners play VR. It is strange. It is strange. Business decision. Yeah.
And our final story this week is that, we'll go back to Magic Leap. Not only did we see a teardown last week from iFixit, from a headset that was provided to them by one Palmer Luckey. Palmer himself, former Oculus founder, or I guess still founder, but no longer at Oculus, wrote his own review, in-depth review of the Magic Leap, and he didn't like it very much.
I couldn't tell that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. No, the headline is Magic Leap is a tragic heap.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
And from that, a little bit of a back and forth between Magic Leap CEO and him on Twitter. Some of the things that were pointed out, because I won't go into the full details of that review, but some of the things that we weren't able to test, the very good points about the controller. We knew it was or it's heavily speculated, it was magnetic coils. But we're all right-handers here, and we didn't really get to, now that I think about it, didn't get to really use it in my left hand to see if the drift was any worse because the coil was on the right side of the headset.
Right, yeah, I hadn't considered that.
And also interference potentially from steel sources being in the room that you're using it in.
No, but his complaints about the tracking not being great on it, I think he's comparing it to something like the Rift
Yeah.
or any of the VR headsets.
Right.
Where the tracking is 1-to-1. Like, it's great. It's exactly right. Whereas this is not. And I don't think that any of the implementations that we saw necessitate one-to-one perfect tracking.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe that is more of a limiting factor if you're making something that requires that kind of precision.
Yep. Yep. And the big fear for him is that this does not inspire him, inspiring confidence for developers to get into this. Because as a developer kit, you want to get as many of these in the hands of developers so that they'll start making content, experimenting with content. And based on his speculation and some back-of-the-napkin math that he did, there aren't that many of these out there. And he knows a ton of people who have them who have no intention of actually developing with them, which doesn't bode well.
They're
for
just
the
enthusiasts.
platform. Exactly.
Yeah.
Who just want to try something new.
I feel like he was like the majority of the negative tone of the review was coming from responding to the hype, to the promises that were made, and having the device fall short of that, which was by and large, like, that was prevalent. Like, when it came out, a lot of people responded that way, whereas I responded it to more of like, okay, well, compared to the HoloLens, it's cheaper and better. Like, it is the best available thing.
Right.
But his point is, like, as an industry insider, is that all that hype, all those promises, sucked all of the money and air out of the AR space, and these guys took that over and didn't deliver.
I think there's still plenty of money and plenty of hype to be had. Once Apple drops their headset, if they make a headset, people will just as excited. I think it's tough to start, and even with all the funding they had, to start from scratch with not a name that's not recognized. Without any hype, they would have just fallen through the cracks. You had to have the hype to compete with a Microsoft or an Apple or a Google. You got to take their money too.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's definitely. I feel him there. I do feel that. I wish that they had either made good on it, or just been more of a constructive member of the community.
I think we're definitely in that trough of disillusionment right now, in the hype cycle.
Everyone talks about that. Like with VR, everyone's talking about how there was this great hype machine and now it's all died down.
No. I think VR passed the hump of getting of needing to get developers excited, and developers are excited.
Yeah.
And all it is the tech hurdle of cost and performance.
So is that the thing? Uncanny Valley and then the trough of disappointment?
No.
That's the other place?
No, it's there's that hype curve, right? There's the innovation trigger that gets all the money. Then the peak of inflated expectations. Not out of Silicon Valley. It's like this is a thing. Oh, it is out of Silicon Valley, but the real Silicon Valley, not the TV show. Then the trough of disillusionment. Then the slope of enlightenment, and the plateau of productivity.
I don't know. I've never been disillusioned by VR.
No, we're in the slope of enlightenment.
But I've never gone through this disillusionment phase. Like I'm super excited for Santa Cruz or whatever it's going to be called. That's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Then Rift 2. That's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Like, we are in a very exciting time for VR.
It is.
And everyone who got disillusioned, they were drinking the wrong Kool-Aid.
You'll find our brand of Kool-Aid every week. This is only a test in the VR Minute. And that does it for this week's episode. Kishore, have a great time at Dragon Con. Regale us of your stories next week. And let us know out there where in the hype cycle you are for whatever tech you're using. Jeremy, we have an outro this week.
From Osmozo.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
There are people saying, is this the best pinball game ever made?
And what's the answer to that question?
It could be.
You're selling us TV on the radio.
That is Iron Maiden, in case you're curious.
And I played it, and it was pretty good.
It's good.